Hello, everyone. So, what's the deal with anxiety and depression? Well, I am not an expert. I am an expert at overcoming anxiety. I do not think I've struggled that much with depression, but I did struggle a lot with anxiety my entire life. And I'm an adult now, and I am 55 years old. And I believe my inner healing began in 2012. It's a long story. I've written about it. I've written a book almost every year of my entire process of how I've come to heal and be victorious. And I still have setbacks, and I still have situations that can give me again anxiety. And I found natural ways to deal with it. And the main thing for me is and while I am not a doctor, but for me, realizing that anxiety and depression, and yes, they can be medical situations, but their root begins in our childhood, in my opinion, because by whatever age we felt not good enough for certain amount of reasons. Okay, so am I right or am I wrong? I don't know. But what I can tell you that totally accepting yourself and meeting all your emotional needs, which you can do, anybody can do, um, will take the anxiety to another level. So, and the depression. So, like, being in contact with your own heart again, being in contact with your inner child again. So, while I may be right or wrong, I've never met, and maybe I'm wrong, I've never met a person that totally feels so good in their skin and so, bubbling personality and feel good about themselves. And they're not the victim, they don't have a victim mentality. They are not the ones waiting for everyone to come fix their lives. They're just the go-getters and they feel good about themselves. I've never heard that they suffer with anxiety and depression. So there must be something about it. So I've been through these for years, like I said, and my entire life I think I suffered with anxiety and I still have setbacks. But the change began in 2012 when I began honoring all of my feelings and meeting my inner child. And this is my take. Somehow, at certain age, and I'm not blaming anyone, some people were physically abandoned. But I'm talking about all of us that were emotionally abandoned at a younger age. And then when we became adults, we are parenting our inner child the same way. We somehow got stuck at a certain age, and I explain all that way better in my book. But we began to treating ourselves the same way we were treated or worse. So we become our worst enemies. We are so mean to ourselves, so hard on ourselves. We are trying to reach perfection, which, what in the world is perfection anyway? And I mean, who gets to say what's perfect and what's not perfect? So the main thing of my process is we began having anxiety and depression as a result of abandoning our own heart, like disassociation with our heart. Okay, so we're trying to be someone we're not, to be liked. So there's two people inside of us, the one we're trying to be and the one we really are, and they're, power struggle inside of our heads. And that's, in my opinion, that's what creates the biggest anxiety. So anxiety was not created in a day. It took years for us to have all those brain patterns and ways of reaction that anxiety was the result. So it's not going to go away in one day. So I created these 42-week seminar or process, however you want to call it, that it's going to help you get rid of all those brain connections and make new ones. So the main thing we're doing here is using meditation. So and another thing is that the lies got to go. And all of us unconsciously don't even know what we're thinking. Okay, so let me try to explain. So during my 42-week process, we are going to, through meditation or thinking, or searching within, we are going to find out the lies that we believe about ourselves. And those have to go, because if you still believe that you're not good enough, no matter what you do, and it's not going to work, because whenever you're presented with a situation and then you unconsciously think, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work, guess what? The anxiety is going to flourish. Or like if down deep you believe, oh my goodness, I am not as rich as, or as successful as, or as thin as, or as good looking as. So when you meet those kind of people, all it brings is anxiety, because you're trying to be something you're not. And the bottom line is, until you accept yourself the way you are, the way you look, the way you do, the way you think, even your anxiety issues, you've got to love yourself where you are today, or the anxiety, it will never go away, in my opinion. So one of the big shifts that happened to me was, one time a good friend of mine said, "Bean, when are you going to finally love all of yourself with anxiety issues, with all your issues?" Because yes, you're trying, you think you love yourself, but only if I didn't have these, if I didn't do these, if I had a better job, if I looked a certain way, if I drive a better car, if I was more sociable, if I didn't have all these anxiety, then I would love me. Well, that's not love. Love is, even with your issues and your anxiety, I am going to be the best I can be while you're going through the anxiety. So while you're going through the anxiety is, first of all, being in contact with your inner child says, why are you feeling this way? And then that's when the lie pops up. Oh, I feel inferior than this and this and that. So you're like, oh, I get it. The fact is, you're not inferior to anyone. Every human being is worth the same, period. And that's the truth that's going to set you free. So, or your inner child says, you're putting me in this situation that I don't like. You're putting yourself last. You're putting others way ahead of you, or better than you. So you're treating everyone else as more important than you. No wonder you have anxiety. Okay? So you want to say no, and you say yes. And then somebody asks for a favor and you can't do it, but you say yes. So the anxiety and the anger come, because why did I say yes when I should have said no? And there's lots of ways to be assertive and be polite and be nice. And yeah, once you start changing and taking care of yourself a lot, some people won't like you, and it's okay. But my point is, until you get to be one with yourself, then that's when the anxiety is gone away. It's going to get better and going to go away. So I invite everyone to follow me on YouTube. I've written a few books of how I've gotten to where I am today. And like I said, I'm 55 years old. And these 2019, I had tremendous growth. Only when I think it's done and I get to this plateau of feeling good about myself, except, certain situations that are, I go meditate and I find out, and I have my aha moment, and, I get better. But I get to this plateau where I almost have no anxiety for long periods of time. And then something big happens. And this 2019 was huge for me on wanting certain people to love me a certain way. Okay, so we recreate what we haven't healed. So let's say I still wanted at 50-something my mom to love me a certain way. So every time I'm with her, I'm trying to change her so she loves me a certain way, so I can heal that root of the problem in me. And this is years after working on myself. So then I realized that's never gonna happen. So I quit doing that. I quit being codependent. I quit depending on her to come heal me, and I heal myself. And I said, this is what happened when you were a kid, and this is how we're gonna fix it. And I'm gonna be your own parent, and I'm gonna give you what others didn't give you when you were growing up. And like I said, this is not to blame anyone. This is to work on you. So I've been leaving a lot of relationships behind because they don't work for me anymore. And you might feel selfish, and that's kind of bad, but my peace matters. my peace is my priority in my life, and it matters. So I am not putting anyone ahead of me. And so if you like the new me, taking care of myself without anxiety, it's worth it. It's worth for me. Okay, so the point is, go to my channel. I am about to videotape chapter 8 of my book, Falling in Love with Yourself, Ending Anxiety and Depression. I totally believe that if you spend a week on every chapter, you can buy the book, it's on Amazon, but you can also watch the videos, which I explain the meditation we're doing that week and what we're working on. So I've already recorded 7 chapters, so that's almost 2 months of work. And so I invite you to do it. They are free, they're on YouTube. And it's called Falling in Love with Yourself, Ending Anxiety and Depression. I hope you like it, and I hope you share with your friends. My dream would be that a group of girls, usually, it's usually girls, get together and do it together. And then, hang out for a week around coffee and say, this is what I learned about myself, and these were my aha moments, and, supporting each other with depression, with anxiety, and liking ourselves the way we are. And then, after 42 weeks, which is almost a year, and, vacations and everything, so it's meant to do it in a year. And then the next year, you invited new groups of girls, and you're kind of like the leader, helping them get where we all need to be. We're all worth it. And I don't think a life of anxiety and depression, it does not have to be that way. If I could handle it, anybody can. And I'm not saying this will work for everyone, but even if you take medications and your doctor says you need the medications, self-love has never hurt anyone. And I can assure you that the amount of peace and joy within will flourish and grow because of you supporting yourself and you treating yourself as your best friend instead of as our worst enemy. I love you all and have a great year 2020. And things are not going to change unless we change right here. I love you all. Take care.